Hi, my name is David Adujan, and I'm a multi-instrumentalist, singer-songwriter, filmmaker, and trainer. So I've been in the music circles for a while. I've worked as a sound tech, as a filmmaker, as an engineer, as a video crew. I've worked in so many different scenarios, and that has allowed me to experience a lot of different scenarios where sometimes conditions are ideal and sometimes not so ideal, and having to think on my feet and come up with solutions. So today I'll be talking about a few of the situations that you may find yourself in trying to stream music or a performance of any kind. So, sound. What is sound? Sound is basically an object vibrating, the air around it, and the air vibrating your eardrum. And that's how sound is produced. And so, sound has two components. It has your sound source, which could be yourself, vocals, an object, an instrument, and then you have the air, which influences the room as well. So you have two things to think about. Mostly, you want the sound to be isolated. So you want as little of the environment as is possible. But you may not always have that luxury. And so sometimes the environment has to have a way to coexist with the sound source. The best way to do this is to use a microphone. A microphone that has directivity will allow you to isolate the sound and block out as much of the sound that you don't need, the environment, the ambience, as we call it. So every phone has a microphone, and this microphone is usually directional. It may not be as directional as maybe professional microphones, but it has a range that it can reach. First of all, I would advise that you try and record vocals with your phone to see exactly what it captures and to make your decisions from there. The second thing is if you are in a room. The room itself affects the sound and how it's reproduced in the microphone. As I said before, the sound travels through air and the air vibrates your eardrums. But that is only direct sound. Sound moves in multiple directions, so it may be hitting the walls and returning back to your microphone or your ears, and that's what you experience as reverb. If you are in a small room with with a few objects around you, it may not be such a problem as a very big room where there's a lot of empty space, where the sound just reverberates all around the room. So you want to be in a room where there isn't that much space, except if that's for effect. Um, and so you have chosen the room, you have your microphone, you have your sound source, which may be yourself. If it's vocals, that is fine. If it's an instrument, you must think about how best can I record this sound source. If it's a guitar, if it's acoustic, you may have to position the acoustic guitar in a way that the microphone picks it the best. Or if it's an electric guitar, you may want to position the amplifier in a way that it directs the sound towards the microphone in the best way that it can. So you want to move yourself and all the other sound sources, be it an instrument or a piece of gear that's generating sound, around the room to find the best scenario that works for your stream. So the first scenario, you have just your phone. How do you make the best of that device? First of all, you must find a way to mount this phone on a tripod or a stand or something so that you can have a fixed position for that recorder, because now that's your microphone. It's both your microphone and your camera, and so you want that as stable as possible. Secondly, you want to position yourself in a way that is both visually pleasing and captures the best sound. So if moving the camera closer to you captures the sound better, it may be a compromise you want to take or you want to make. Secondly, you want to think about your instruments. If it's a guitar, where do you position it so that the sound is captured best from that one angle that the phone is set at? if you have amplifiers, if you have other things, especially electronic instruments that require speakers. You can position the speakers in a way and use your volume on those speakers to adjust how the sounds interact with each other in the space. If you have a room that is very reverberant, do you want to use that reverb as an effect? Maybe that would be better if the camera is further back so that it has more of the room sound in it, so that there's very little isolation. Um, and that's probably your best bet for just a phone. So the second scenario is maybe you have an audio interface. Now, not all audio interfaces can work with a phone, so you may want to connect that to a laptop. But there are some audio interfaces that you can connect to a phone, and those usually come with a designation class compliant. So if you find an audio interface that is class compliant, you just need an OTG adapter or a cable that can connect to both your phone and the audio interface and try that. If that's working, great. The audio interface may have more than one input, and that will be great for adding on instruments as well as microphones that have better isolation if that's what you're looking for. My personal audio interface is the Motu M4, and it has two inputs for microphones and two inputs for an instrument. Using that, for example, I could use one microphone for my vocal, connect my guitar in the second part for just a guitar and vocal session. If I have a looper pedal or other effects or a guitar amp, I may want to put in more inputs, and so maybe connect a keyboard with two inputs on the back and have two microphones on the front. In that scenario, there is not much you can do on the phone as far as configuration is concerned. Most of the work is in figuring out what ways you are going to capture the sound. So you may use microphones, you may use all these other inputs. So there are many resources online for how to connect your devices or your instruments to an audio interface. And so I'd advise you check those out for the specific instrument or device that you have. So in the case that you have a laptop and you prefer using a laptop for your live stream, and by the way, that removes Instagram as an option, you can connect your audio interface straight to your laptop. If your audio interface is class compliant, you may not need any drivers installed on your laptop, but otherwise then you have to see your manufacturer on their website and download drivers so that your audio interface is compatible with your computer. So connecting your instruments and your microphones to your audio interface is the same as when you did it with the phone. You just connect them straight to the audio interface, and you have the added advantage of a headphone output, so you can listen to yourself back as you perform. I'd advise very discreet earphones, something that's small that doesn't take up much of your visual space, so that it's a little more pleasing to look at. So when you connect your audio interface to your laptop, you will have the option to use the audio interface as your sound source in the software that you're using. Whether it be OBS or you're using a DAW to record or pre-record your live show, you'll have the option of selecting it within your audio devices menu, and you can just choose that, and that will replace whatever sound setup you have in the laptop built in. So for the third scenario, you may have multiple inputs. Maybe you're a band, maybe you have just a lot of devices to incorporate into your set. So the best device for that is a mixer. A mixer has multiple inputs, it has multiple outputs, it has effects sometimes, and the flexibility that comes with a mixer may be the best thing for that scenario. So you have your mixer, you have all your instruments, you have all your microphones, connect them together. Get everything into the mixer, push your faders to a level where it's good, where the balance is really good, and then take your mixer's stereo output straight into your audio interface. You'll see outputs on every mixer. So now you have your stereo inputs into your audio interface. The same way that you did it before, just connect that audio interface to your laptop or to your phone, and then just set it as your audio device. So there are certain situations where live isn't actually live. You can pre-record your set to be broadcasted again using an encoding software or a player of some sort. So the main difference is that you have the luxury of multiple takes and editing and adding on effects after the fact with pre-recorded sets or pre-recorded sessions. If you are going completely live, on the instant, you could make mistakes. Everything has to work on the go. But when you pre-record, you can have a little more wiggle room and you can add on as many things as you want. If you have a mixer and that doesn't have effects, you are stuck with that with a live set. But if you pre-record it, you can add the effects after the fact. So sometimes you want a little bit of the environment in your sound. You want a little bit of ambience. You want the birds chirping. You want the trees rustling. You want, traffic from your neighborhood. But to have control over that is key. Sometimes you can choose microphones that will help you isolate the sound a little better. Find directional microphones. You want either a shotgun microphone or you want a handheld dynamic for vocals, or you want, something that falls within the range of the cardioid, supercardioid, hypercardioid areas. And you can read these up on the internet. They're very simple to find. So one thing you can do is to have a separate microphone for recording the ambience. You can use a condenser microphone or an omnidirectional microphone. And what that would help you to do is to have a dedicated channel, something that you can control the level of, so that your ambience is at the level that you want it. Another thing you can do with that ambience microphone is to use it as a backup. This backup will help you when your vocal microphone goes off, or maybe one of your instrument microphones goes off. You will still be able to hear it within the stream. And if you have an assistant, the person can then look into fixing the main audio source's problems whilst the stream still goes on. So some of the instruments, especially the active ones, some guitars, some effects pedals and things may have batteries in them. Make sure that all those batteries are at full capacity, whether they be brand new or fully charged. If you have the option of plugging them in directly to power, please do that. It will save you a lot of trouble. Also make sure that you have a redundant power source, maybe just plugging in a UPS or something, so that when your power fails, your sound still goes on and the show still goes on. Another thing that can ruin your live set is mobile phones. They can ring in the middle of a set. They can produce interference. If I had my way, I wouldn't put any of it near any of the instruments. So, whether you have just a phone, an audio interface, a mixer, or the whole shebang, what you've learned today should equip you to record anything you want, stream however you want, and have the best results.
Alright, hi, my name is Andrew Date. I've been working with camera, lights, and filming for about 7 years now. So today we're going to talk about lights, cameras, and composition, and how they affect the final image that goes out, that people see. If you want to go live, one of the most important things you need is your camera. You can decide to go with the phone, which is easy. The phone has everything. It has data connectivity, so you can just stream live straight from the phone out online. It has a camera, it has a microphone, it has basically everything that you need. And then another setup is a DSLR. So this is more of a hybrid camera. You can take both pictures and then record videos. I recommend a camera like this because it has a flip screen. So a screen like this will help you see yourself and what you are doing. Another camera I have here, this is essentially a video camera, and that's all it does. It can't take pictures or anything. But this camera doesn't have a flip screen, so you need extra hands to operate this camera. Okay, I'm an artist. I have a phone. I want to go live. How do I do it? First, I'll get the tripod and a tripod mount for the phone. Set it up somewhere in a place that has a lot of light, where recording won't be an issue. When you're a one-man film crew, a camera like this is very, very helpful because it has a flip screen. So you can flip the screen this way, set it up on the tripod, and then you can see what the camera sees before you go live. So once I have this camera set up on the tripod, I'm going to follow a simple rule, which is a rule of thirds. It's a very simple rule. You can look it up on the internet, but basically it makes your video look more appealing, nicer, and presentable. Over here, I have a camera that is designed for high-end production. It usually comes with a camera operator, and once they set it up, I will give you a lot of freedom to focus on your performance. Once you have your camera set up and you want to go live, you need light. And your first source of light is sunlight. It's free, daylight, sun comes, you can put your camera somewhere that sun shines through a window, or if you're performing outside, that's all you need. And then secondly, we have ambient light, room lights, light bulbs. These are things that you find in your room, in your house. Everybody has light bulbs all around. So I'd recommend you set up in a place where there's a lot of light. If you are setting up in a room, set up in a place where there's a lot of light, or maybe you have a window that sunshine is coming through. And also we have professional lights, like what we have here. So there's one lighting me from back here, which is giving me a purple look on this side of my skin. And then there's this, which is a ring light, and then a bigger light coming from this angle. Now these lights are a little more expensive to acquire, but once you have a lot of money, you need it. And also it depends on the kind of performance that you have in mind. If you have a big performance and you're expecting a lot of people, or you have a certain look that you want to go for, sometimes you can spend a little money and then rent some of these lights. They are very cheap to get. Once you get these lights, you can decide to do the setup on your own, or hire someone who understands lights to do that for you. But all you need is to get very good lights in that space where you want to perform, and then go live. So once you determine where the light is coming from, sunlight, artificial light, or professional light, you position yourself in relation to the light, and a place that will just make you look good. If we are talking about lighting with the sun, for instance, and then you're indoor, what I would do is, I usually like light that comes through a window. Sometimes it can become very harsh. So what I'll do is maybe put a curtain, cover some parts of the window, or maybe just cover it completely with a curtain that will allow some light to come through, so it gives you a softer feel. And then you just position yourself right next to it where the sun is coming through, hitting you in that angle, and then it's going to give you a very good look. Sometimes when you're performing indoors and you want to film, you need lights, and the lights in the room can be very helpful. What you have to do is just turn some on, turn some off, see which one makes you look good in the camera, and then go with that. Okay, now I want to talk about professional lighting. The most common is 3-point lighting. We have the key light, that is the main light. An example is what we have over here, which is shining at a 45-degree angle. And then we have a fill light. So usually the fill light fills in where the key light casts shadows. And then we have a rim light. The rim light usually goes behind you, and then it separates you from the background. So it's going to give you a little light shining on the side of your face and then your body. For instance, the light hitting me from this angle is acting as a hairlight and a rim light as well. So this gives you an example of what professional lighting can look like. Okay, so now I want to touch a little more on this, the ring lights, and how to use it properly. Okay, so the ring light is designed to act as a catch light to add an appealing look in your eyes. It's going to cast a round light that makes your videos look beautiful, basically. Okay, some issues you can encounter while you're filming or recording are batteries. You didn't charge your batteries before you started recording. Your camera can go off during live, and once you are live, you are live. No, nothing should come to interfere with your recording session. So you have to make sure your batteries are fully charged. If you are using a plug-in power, it's probably connected to the camera, and whatever you do, you absolutely have to make sure the camera doesn't go off. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is power source. You have to make sure you are filming in a place that has a very good power source, a very steady power source, where electricity isn't going to go off or cause flickering of your lights or the camera. Sometimes it can cause interference in your sound equipment. All these things you have to make sure they are fully checked, and you have to test your recording. You have to test your video before you go live and make sure everything is going as planned. And then also, if you are doing a pre-recorded video, you have to make sure you have a memory card that has been fully erased. There's nothing on it. It has been formatted for your camera, and just make sure everything is set. Also test and see before you go live or you start the recording, or it's going to cause issues. So with all that you've learned, you should be able to go live with your camera, your lights, and everything you need to make you look good in front of the camera.
Hi, my name is Jamal Shaibu. I'm the co-founder of Red Dot Multimedia. And we've been in business for about 7 years. We do live streaming, videography, photography, and motion graphics. Yes, that's our core business. I started streaming about 10 years ago. I remember my first experience. It was a church, and we got there. I set up everything, and we went live. You know, you have the preview, and then you have your live window. So I went live only for about 10 minutes, and I was getting feedback that we were not live. So I was asking myself, what is happening? And then people came to tell me, no, you have a black screen. You are not live. The video was apparently on just my preview and not on my live. So that was my very first experience, and it wasn't a nice experience, but it was a hard ground to learn for. I'm self-taught, learned everything online, and yeah. So first off, I want to mention that for tools, when you talk about live stream, the main things, you have three main things which are very, very, very important, which is your video, your audio, and the internet connection. Now every other thing, which is the text, overlays, your logo, all those things are just additions. But the key things, your video, your audio, and a very stable internet connection. So the tools you will need vary based on the kind of stream you are doing. We have a basic stream, we have a sophisticated slightly where you use one camera. Okay, so it's just one camera plugged into your PC, and then we have the very complex setup. So I will pick it step by step, and then you will know the tools you will need for each setup. So for the basic setup, you will need a phone, you need a webcam, you need a tablet. That is the most common one in town now. You see a lot of people go live on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitch, on YouTube, and it's just their phone or a tablet they go live with. Now, it is important that if you want to get a very, very good and make it a little more professional, get a tripod so that your video is stable, okay, and that gives you a very strong video output. Now, like I mentioned, you need video, audio, and then a stable internet for a stream. Now, when we talk about for the basic, the phone, tablet are going to will take care of your video and your audio, because the phone gives you microphone, so you're able to your audio is able to go out. So the phone will take care of the video and the audio aspect, and then you have a strong internet, usually your Wi-Fi or your phone data, and then you go. So you just set that up. Make sure it is very, very important you run before you go live. Make sure you run a test. Running a test, you can just stream to yourself. So just make sure that you set your stream not to public, but to just you. Okay, so you just go live for about a minute or two, listen to the audio, listen to the environment before you go live for everyone else to see. Let's just say you are going live on Instagram. You take your phone, sign in, right? You take your phone, you sign in, and you swipe to your right. So when you swipe to your right, you will see there you have, that's where now Instagram is updated. So you see story, you see reel, you see the live button. Go to the live button. You will usually, once you are using your smartphone, it's automatically set to your front camera. Okay, so once you go to live, it's set to your front camera. You should see yourself there. And then you can just click on the live button, which is the very big button in the middle there. Click it, and then you are live for everyone to know and hear about you. Instagram usually announce and tells everybody that you are live. Once you are done with your stream, make sure to end it. It's very, very important you end it. Swiping or leaving the screen doesn't mean you've ended your live. Make sure you press the end button, and once you end, Instagram will give you the option to either save to your story or delete. You do whichever one you want to do. If you want to delete it, just click delete and it deletes it. If you want to save to your story, make sure you hit save to my story. So you can do the same thing for Facebook. Once you end your live, you can delete it or you can view the post. You can save the post to your timeline, and you can do the same thing for YouTube and all the other channels you want to stream to. So the second setup is a slightly more sophisticated setup where you connect one camera to your computer and then you go live with it. That you will need a capture card. Okay, that will help you capture the video from the camera into your computer. Now you will need an encoding software for that. You will need OBS. Example, OBS is a free software, encoding software. So you connect it and then you can add your shot. Okay, you add your video shot to it. You add your audio. Some cameras come with inbuilt audio. So once you are capturing with the HDMI or whichever cable you are capturing with, it will come with the audio. So then once you add a video, it will capture the audio as well. Then you don't have to worry about audio. But if your camera doesn't support audio, then you would have to get an external audio in. So you set up your audio, your video, you add, this is where you can add your titles, this is where you can add your logo, your text and all that. And then you log in to your account, your Twitch account, your Instagram account, your Facebook account. Now the thing with Instagram is you can't go live with OBS. You will need a third-party app to do that, which is, you can just try Yellow Duck. Okay, and then it gives you the option to log in. You log in, and then once you click go live on OBS, it will show on your timeline. Again, it is very important to run a test. Run a test, because you never know, since you are running it through an encoding software, you can go live without audio going live or without video going live, like my first experience where I thought I was live but I wasn't live. Okay, so that is very important. There's a more complicated setup where you have two or more cameras connected to a switch, and then you connect your switch to your computer. Then you can have multiple camera feeds. So it works the same as the one camera setup, just that this time round you are going to have more cameras connected to your switch, and then from your switch to your computer. So once you switch whichever camera you want, that changes on in OBS, and then you go live with. These are the main setups we have in live streaming: basic, one camera or two camera setup. So one of the common problems I see a lot of people face is running out of battery power, either on their cameras or on their phones. Now for your phone, you can just make sure you are fully charged, and it's your phone, you've been using it for a while, so you know how long you can go on a video or how long you can go without running out. But you can just connect it directly to a power source, okay, whilst you are going live, so you know you're not going to have any problems with battery running out. Or you can just connect it to a power bank, okay, so you know you are constantly running on power for your phone. So if you are running the single camera setup with your laptop, and you are running low on battery on your camera, you can go live with an artwork. Go live with the artwork and then switch batteries on your camera without people knowing and seeing that you lost the feed. Because when it goes blank, at every second you might lose someone from watching your stream, and that is very, very, very important. It's important you don't lose people. So to keep them there, give them something to see, because live stream is all about visual. So go live with an artwork and then switch the battery. When you do that, then you can come back and switch and go back to your camera. That is one of the safest ways you can save your feed. A lot of people stream, and in the very beginning, when they have a lot of people viewing, their energy is low, or whatever they are doing is low. No, start your live stream very, very big, very, very excited, because that's the very minute they announce to everyone for them to join in. So when someone joins in and they see that whatever you are doing is not exciting, they will go out. Okay, to keep your audience, make sure it's very exciting, make sure it's engaging, then they stay. Then you can go on with all the other things. It's very important you run a test before you start. Run a test before you start, and check all the video shots, all the audio, because all these things can affect your audience, whether they will stay, whether they will leave. It all depends on all these small things. Stable internet is so essential. If your internet is not good, your internet contributes to about 50% of your stream, because video and audio is about 50, and then your internet is like 50. So if you have all the big equipment and all the big gadgets set up and your internet is bad, then it doesn't go out there. So internet is as important as your video and your audio. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amelia Date, and I'm an actor. I also co-run a theatre company called Accra Theatre Workshop. In terms of my experience with acting, I've been acting for pretty much almost my whole life. I started acting when I was a little girl, doing plays at home for my parents, and I also went to university and studied acting at the collegiate level. I also, after some time, went back to school and obtained a master's degree in acting. So when we talk about the tools of the actor or the tools of a performer, your tool is yourself. Your body is your instrument. So the main things that we talk about are your body, your voice, and your imagination. Those are really the three things that you need, and you need to train those things so that when it comes performance time, you're able to perform optimally so that the audience can enjoy your performance. When we talk about knowing your angles, as a performer, your mirror is your best friend. You always have to practice your angles in front of a mirror, and then you go on to using your camera and recording yourself, especially in close-up, so that you know what angles are flattering for you and you know how to work your camera. We know that generally some angles are not the most flattering. You don't want the camera looking up your nose or under your chin. So always know that you can try so many different angles with your mirror and then record yourself, especially in close-up, so that you know what angles work best for you. Let's say that you're going live stream on your phone. You don't want to put the phone underneath your nose or under your chin. You ideally want the phone to face you, or you want to put it slightly above so that you're looking up at it. Those are usually the most flattering angles. And so when you are going to go live, just make sure that you practice a little bit with your phone or whatever device you're going live with before you actually go live. When it comes to delivering a good performance, everybody wants to be able to emote and put everything out to the camera and just show everything that they're feeling or the song wants to evoke. What we have to remember, however, as performers is that emotion is only a byproduct of action. What that means is that as an actor or as a performer, you need to know what your action is. You need to know what you want from the person that you're singing to, because your song has a subject. You are singing to somebody in particular. And even if you're singing to your audience, you have to find somebody in your mind that you can say, okay, I'm talking to Tom, and this is what I want from Tom. I want to get Tom to tell me that he loves me, right? That is more active. So you're doing something to be able to get Tom to tell you that he loves you. So if you choose a very strong action, like I want to get somebody to tell me that they love me, all these different tactics start to come out. You can plead with the person, you can beg the person, you can cry, you can even tease the person or flirt with the person. All these are different ways that will make your performance more active, and then emotions come out of your performance, and then we believe what you are saying to the camera. Now, everybody wants to be able to perform and leave everything on the floor, on the camera to their audience. But we can't always do that, because sometimes you need to pick up an emotion very, very quickly, and you need time to build up to that. But at the same time, you have lights people setting up, you have sound people setting up, you have the crew running around. In that case, we have to learn to have emotional preparations ready. What an emotional preparation is that you have some kind of emotion that you can quickly just bring up in yourself by thinking about something that puts you in that place. So let's say that you have a memory of something that brings you so much joy. And in your performance or your song, you're performing something that elicits joy. You can think about that thing in your life that gives you that joy, and then that will bring up the emotion that you need to put it towards the camera for a quick and effective performance. One thing to remember is that one emotional prep doesn't always work. Sometimes it will work, another time it won't work. So it's good to have so many different things that bring up so many different emotions for you, so that let's say your one thing that brings you joy doesn't really work today. You can jump on another thing that brings you joy, and then you will use that for the performance for that day. Let's talk about microphone technique. So let's say you are performing for the camera and you have your microphone. The proper way to hold your microphone is not to hold where you're going to be speaking into, because that will muffle your sound. You ideally want to have a strong grip on the stem, and then have your thumb also holding the base on the other side. That shows that you have a strong grip on your microphone, and you're also not interfering with the sound that you're going to be producing. Now, another thing to remember is that the kind of microphone you're using will determine the kind of sound that you're going to produce. If you have a condenser mic, for instance, a good rule of thumb is to be 6 to 12 inches away from the microphone. An easy way to do it is to stand 6 inches away from the microphone first, and then you can adjust as needed. One easy trick you can try with the condenser microphone is to make the hang 10 sign or the telephone conversation sign. Just make sure that you put your thumb close to your mouth and then your pinky finger close to the microphone. This is a good distance to start with. And if you have a dynamic kind of microphone, these are designed that you can come much closer to the microphone, about 2 inches away. So if you take 2 fingers, you just want to put those 2 fingers between your mouth and the microphone, and then you can start from there. So one thing to remember is that we make a lot of plosive sounds when we speak and sing. So whenever you have the microphone adjusted to wherever you want it, make sure that you're making those sounds. The plosive sounds are the P's and the B's, those sounds that are very harsh, and they can sound very, very jarring to the ear when you are too close to the microphone. If you can invest in a pop filter to put that in front of your microphone, you just place that little disc 1 inch or 2 in front of your microphone, and that will kind of soften the sound that you're making so that the plosive sounds aren't as harsh to the ear. Rehearsal is very important. I hear people say sometimes that they want to be free, they want to be spontaneous on the day of the performance. However, it is actually quite counterintuitive to think that a rehearsal kind of tightens you up and holds you up and doesn't free you up. It's quite the opposite. When you rehearse your performance, you allow yourself to use all the different actions that you can possibly use, try your performance in so many different ways, so that when it comes time for you to perform, you kind of let all of those things go, but you remain free to be able to explore all the different things that you have done in rehearsal, and you don't get stuck on stage. So rehearsal is actually very important, and the more you rehearse, the more you know your material, and so you don't get stuck on stage and end up embarrassing yourself. Once you've done your rehearsal, once you've played with your mirror and your camera and you know your angles, the world is your oyster. You are going to connect to the camera because you've done your homework. So you know what exactly you want to elicit to the audience through your performance. If you're asking for somebody back, you know exactly what kind of actions and beats to go through so that you're speaking to the camera in a very, very direct way, and the camera will pick up every single thing that you do. Remember, the camera picks up everything. So if you haven't done your homework and you haven't rehearsed, the camera will pick it up and your audience will pick it up. Your audience will know that you're lying to them, and that is not a good look. So rehearsal is so key so that you can be able to deliver an authentic performance. Remember, the audience wants to see you, so bring your full self to your performance. So let's now talk about some common problems. Sometimes people get stage fright, your nerves can take over, and you can even forget your lines. One of the basic things that spans across the whole of performance is learning how to breathe properly. When we get nervous, it automatically affects our breathing. We start to breathe shallowly from the chest. However, we have to learn how to breathe in deeply into our bellies and let the breath out in the same manner. When we do that, we relax our muscles and everything else kind of eases up in our body. So, the next time you have stage fright or you forget a line, take a moment, don't rush, just take a couple of deep breaths into your belly and let them out again, and the lines will come back to you. If you feel as though you are never standing in front of a stage, in front of people, one other trick is just to look on the heads of people as opposed to into their faces. Or another thing you can do is find somebody that you are very comfortable with and direct your performance towards them. Another thing that fixes all the troubles that we have in performance, again, like we've mentioned, is rehearsal. Once you know your material inside out, you can always find your way through your performance. So remember to rehearse, and you have a solid performance. Finally, enjoy yourself. Your audience is here to watch you because they love what you are doing. And you are doing it because it's fun. So remember to have fun. Remember to be able to express yourself as openly as you'd like to and enjoy the performance that you are giving to your audience, because that's the way the audience is going to enjoy your performance too. I hope you've learned a lot from today's session, and I hope that your next performance will be so amazing. Remember, have fun, learn your material, and you'll be good to go.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Afua Sutherland. I'm the co-director of Accra Theatre Workshop, and I also run an art space called Terra Alta. And today I'll be talking to you about marketing, because you're going to be running a live stream. You hope that lots of people will watch your live stream, and so you need to tell them how to tune in. And I always like to start with this question, a few questions, when you're talking about marketing. First thing, who's your audience? 2, where is your audience? And 3, how do you reach them? Before you think a lot about your audience, you need to think about what you're doing. So what kind of live stream are you doing? Are you doing a full-on concert? In which case, what kind of people listen to your music? Are they like rap fans? Are they folk fans? Because those people live in different spaces online and in real life. And so you have to think about where do hip hop heads hang out? Where do people who like classical music hang out? Where do Afrobeats fans hang out? And how do I reach those people? Sometimes you may know those people. They may already be following you. Those are your fans, your followers on Instagram or Twitter or any of your social media handles. Those are the people that you can kind of post and then it gets directly to them. That's what we call your organic reach. Those are people that you don't have to pay to access their opinion. They already are interested in what you are doing. They want to know more. So when you post that you're going to do a live stream, they are already invested. So there are free tools that you can use to design your marketing. So for instance, you'll need a flyer or a trailer for your event, your live stream. You can use free tools like Canva, which provides a template, which in different formats for Instagram, for Twitter, for your Facebook headers, for your SoundCloud or your blog headers. This will give you suggestions as to where to put your text. It will allow you to drop in photos that you have taken into the template, and it will even allow you to make GIFs, which are those animated images from your own content. Then you can share that to your followers in advance of your live stream so that they know you're going live. They can save the date and the time, and then they can tune in when you are live. So if you have a mailing list, or you collect the information of your followers, which you should be doing every time you have a live event or any event where you can ask people to leave their email address, their phone numbers, or their handles so that you can get in touch with them later. You will be able to then send this information that you've prepared out to them. So this again is organic reach because you are not paying for marketing to these people. This is direct marketing. you, the artist, are sending material that you have made directly to people that you follow. But sometimes you don't have a lot of followers. You have only a few followers and you want to expand the reach of people who see your content. So for instance, maybe you have only 500 or 5,000 followers and you want to reach 50,000 people. You will have to pay for ads. So different services like Instagram, Facebook, have paid services where you can pay to boost your post to reach more than people that are in your network. So different services like Facebook and Instagram specifically, but other social networks and even on Google, you can pay to boost your post to reach more people than follow you at the moment. So if you have only 200 followers over all your social media accounts and you wanted to reach 10,000 people for a live stream, how would you do it? You could pay for an ad. So there are services like Google AdSense, there is advertising on Facebook and on Instagram, and you can pay for those services to boost your post. So when you are done with posting your image, you'll see options that will allow you to boost your post, especially that's the language that Facebook uses across Instagram and Facebook. And you can pay however much is within your budget to send that post out to more people than are in your immediate network. What that does though is that sometimes when you post after that, because they want you to pay for the ad, you may see reduced visibility of your regular posts to your people who follow you. You may also not get as many quality followers as the people who are directly interested in your stuff. We always talk about the difference between quality and quantity. So you may have 50,000 people following you, but if you wanted to push a project or a product, only 10 or 20 of them would buy. Versus if you had 1,000 followers who are already invested in your stuff, they're following you because they really like what you do. And maybe you'll get 50 or 60 people to buy your stuff because of that affinity with your work. So you have to weigh what it is that you want out of a marketing campaign. Do you want the quality in terms of people who really want to invest in you and your career as an artist, as fans, as followers of your work? Or do you want the quantity, the large numbers of people, the hype, because that may look better for you if you're chasing recording deals, if you're trying to get concert deals. But again, remembering that, are you trying to convert this into paid money or you're just trying to convert this into hype? And that is entirely up to you. If you would like to monetize the content that you put out on your live stream or on any of your online platforms, you can also look at the tools that are provided on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Bandcamp, and many other sites to actually monetize the number of plays you get. This doesn't necessarily apply to live streams, although you can put up a paywall if you have your own website in order to charge people tickets so that you can have a ticketed event online. And you can talk to maybe somebody who is a technical person in your country, or you can Google the lots of free tools and paid tools that are available for you to do that. You can also sell merchandise alongside your shows. If you have a live stream happening, you could have branded merchandise around that particular live event and use what we call drop shipping. So these are people that will supply the merchandise and will print, for instance, t-shirts according to orders. Instead of you going out and buying a bunch of t-shirts and getting your name and your brand printed on it, they will do that for you and they will ship it to your customers for a small percentage of the fee, and that will be paid into your account. So you can see what's available in your country, because different countries have different rules about how to run these things and different tax laws and all of that. So you have to be aware of that. So sometimes we assume that because we are so excited about our product and our show and we've put so much work into it, that people should just know that it's happening. That doesn't necessarily work. If you build it, it does not mean that they will come. So what you have to do is, one, give people enough time to RSVP to your live stream, to know that it's happening, to get invested in it. And that means you need to post multiple times, maybe a week or two in advance, so that your fans and everyone who follows you knows what is happening and when. The second issue that a lot of people run into is sometimes they overpromise and they underdeliver. So they'll start, their energy is low, or they'll be late to the live stream. And the beginning of your live stream is where a lot of people will be logging on because they've been waiting. They knew that on this day, at this time, you were going to start. So they are there and you're not ready. So what happens sometimes is then you'll see sometimes followers fall off because it's like they've been let down. And so sometimes it's best to just keep it really simple, especially if it's your first time or your first couple of times doing it, and allow your work to speak for itself. So being consistent with your branding, being consistent with your fans, not pulling funny surprises on people for the sake of being avant-garde, but being really true to yourself and where you are in that moment as an artist, as somebody who's performing for people. Another mistake a lot of people make is not targeting your paid ads to your audience. So if I spend $10 on a Facebook ad and I just send it out, it will go out, but it may reach people in different countries that have nothing to do with my music or have nothing to do with my interests. So maybe it's like sending it out to Finland where they're really interested in tango music and you play I don't know, heavy metal, rock music, or Afro beats, and they're just like, what is this ad? I'm sure we've all been on social media and we've seen an ad. It's like, why am I seeing this? And you don't want that to be you. So make sure that you actually target your ads. You can pick the demographic of people you want your ads to reach. Do you want to reach more young women or young men? You want to reach people who are younger, 18 to 24, or older, 60 plus. You can choose all that information. Try to find out as much information about the people who follow you and where they hang out online again. So that is where you should focus your advertising. The other thing you can do in that regard, if you are not paying for your adverts, is to use hashtags. A lot of people use hashtags wrongly. They just kind of throw as many hashtags on the end of their post as possible without thinking, for instance, if I'm a Ghanaian artist and I want to hashtag a post about an upcoming live stream, I might want to hashtag Ghana music because people who are interested in Ghanaian music might follow that hashtag. A big mistake a lot of people make is to throw a lot of hashtags on the back of their posts, especially hashtags that are totally unrelated to what they are doing. So they might use weddings or whatever because they think a lot of people will follow those hashtags. What you actually have to do is to focus on what are the most relevant hashtags for myself and my post. So if I'm a musician from Ghana, I want to put hashtag Ghana music on the end of my post because that is relevant to what I am doing and where I am from. So people who follow that hashtag can see what I'm doing. You can search how many people follow a particular hashtag by searching it on the platform you want to use, for instance, Instagram or Twitter. Or you can also use Google Trends, which is a website where you can check the words that people are using to search. What always helps in managing your posts is to use a tool like Hootsuite, which is like a social media diary, because you can't just post once and forget about it. You have to post multiple times, but sometimes you're too busy or you forget. Something like Hootsuite allows you to schedule your posts across channels. So on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you can say, I want to post this image or this video or this caption on this day at this time, and you can schedule it and it will go out without you having to repost it. So you can schedule your posts, your image, your videos to go out at a particular day and a particular time, and it will send it on your behalf just when you've scheduled it. So you can schedule 5, 10, 15 posts at a time, and they will go out ahead of time. You don't have to worry about that. I hope that you can use these tools to help market your live stream before your event, and that it will help you reach many, many people.
Way you do the things you do makes me want to be the best for you, baby. I cannot wait to say I do, 'cause you're my own, you were mine. 'Cause you set my body on fire, my mind is on fire, everywhere is on fire, fire, fire. You set my body on fire, my mind is on for tonight. Thanks for watching.